Welcome, everybody. Moose Milk Podcast, episode 13. Lucky 13. My boy Jason Voorhees. I'm Ryan, waiting for Matthew to join us. We're going to be talking all kinds of goodies about Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 3. Which was a great episode, so hopefully you've watched it, because there will be spoilers within. But yeah, just Friday night, having a beer, waiting for Matt, and hope everyone is well. I hope this lockdown craze that's going on right now in Ontario, at least, doesn't got you too down. But yeah, definitely a very good episode, in my opinion. My dog's gonna bark because he's crazy. I'm excited to hear what Matt thinks about it, because we haven't talked about it. I thought it was an awesome episode. So we'll see what Matt has to say in a minute. But thanks for taking time out to join us. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. Sorry I left you for a minute. Right after we just had that conversation, too. about about being in the in the beginning.
All good, buddy.
How's things?
It's hard to talk by yourself. I don't know what to say to people, you know?
No, I get it. Especially when you're like waiting, like when you know the conversation has to start when the other person gets there.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I guess we're just gonna sit here and wait.
Yeah, there's only so much you can say without the other person to bounce off of, you know?
Yeah. Hey, something right off the bat I wanted to jump into before I forget. I forgot about last week that I even wrote down, and I still forgot to talk about it. And it was just such a minor little thing, but like, did you notice at the beginning, right after the Marvel logo, when they started the show, they had like the marching band music? Did you notice that was the song from the first Avengers Captain America like USO show montage?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they just redid it with like a marching band or whatever, but it's pretty cool. I kind of noticed it. I was like, oh, kind of like. I mean,
it definitely sounded familiar. I didn't pick up on it right away, but yeah, you're probably right. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, I love the little details they're throwing in within all these little episodes. It's just like callbacks to like little things that you wouldn't have picked up on, you know?
Yep, totally. So I heard you kind of say when I kind of came in here, you said that you liked the episode?
It's the best piece of Marvel thing we've gotten since Endgame. Since
what?
Endgame.
I thought you said it's the best piece of Marvel stuff we've gotten since Ant-Man. Like, Ant-Man?
Since Ant-Man, yes. No, I absolutely adored this episode. I think
that was a great episode.
This is exactly what I want out of Marvel. The action scenes were awesome. I think that was partly because apparently the writer of the episode was
the John Wick guy
from John Wick.
Yeah.
And the choreography like exactly reminded me of those like violent action films where like that's exactly what I want. That's what I love. I can't believe they were like okay with showing this on Disney Plus because some of it was so violent. I was like, this is awesome.
I like when she like stabs the guy in the face and then takes his gun and shoots the other guy in the face. I'm like, awesome. What the fuck? This is on Disney.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who okayed it, but I'm so happy about it because it was dope.
They're like, this is for kids, motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly. Let your 5-year-old watch this. You know, it was great. We'll get into the beat by beat moments of it, but like,
yeah. Sorry, I kind of just bogarted the whole beginning of this. Sorry, you were asking how it was. I'm good. I'm good. That's it.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Good.
Well, that's it. That's about it.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. That was Moose Milk Podcast episode 13.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see you next week when we talk about this week's 5 minutes long,
but that's good. So that's all we needed to know.
But it's all good because I'm good. Woo.
No, I mean, I like to start this off because we haven't really talked all that much this week.
Well, I always say that's the thing I love about this is it's like my guaranteed way to get an hour of time with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, for people that don't know, Easter week is a bitch in grocery retail. It's very, very busy. So leading to Easter this week, it has been a nightmare. Yeah, so me and Matt haven't really caught up during the week as we normally, throw a couple texts each other's ways.
Yep.
Throughout the week, and it just has been a busy week, and I've been pretty burnt out. So, yeah. Anyway, happy Easter to everybody that cares about that thing. I personally don't, but
it's a day off.
It's a day off, kind of. Not really. I got to work Sunday night anyway. So
yeah, I mean today though, right? You have a stat today? You got an extra day off this week, right? Because of the stat.
Yeah, I took it last weekend. So.
Oh, did you? Yeah, cool, nice. Yeah, I was off today too. It was good. Yeah, I'm working on shelves. That's what I've been working on.
I see that. I saw the emptiness. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all going to be Ninja Turtles, and then under there is going to be Street Fighter and Power Rangers.
I love those pixelated Ninja Turtles you sent me.
They're so cool, eh?
Really, really cool.
I know, they're really cool. I'm worried they're going to do a Super Shredder, and it's going to make me buy one because I probably couldn't say no to the pixelated Super Shredder because that figure is already cool. So if they gave a pixelated paint job, I'm like, oof.
Yeah, I would have a hard time not buying that myself. Super Shredder is so dope, and yeah, I mean, I love those first two movies so much.
Me too.
Like I said last week or the week before or whatever. Like I would love if they got back to that live action kind of adult, but kind of to everybody style Ninja Turtles movie because it's just so good.
I wonder if Eastman and Laird would do it, like the two creators.
Yeah,
they might want to do a darker take on something like that.
Yeah, I mean, but dude, do a darker take then. Go hard R with it. It'd be awesome.
Well, I think they only have the rights to certain things because they sold everything, right, to Nickelodeon. So,
yeah. Anyway, yeah, we'll jump into the episode. Like I said earlier, spoilers. We've already spoiled stuff, but spoilers. Don't.
If you're here without seeing it, then what are you doing here?
That's your own fault. Don't blame us.
Appreciate the view, but it seems kind of.
I don't want to see an email from Jack Lover 69 that says you ruined the episode for me. Don't ever talk to me again because the opening of the episode, I really thought they're definitely making the new Captain America, John Walker, to be a villain.
He's totally
clearly out of control.
Yeah.
That guy spits in his face and he's ready to kill the dude, and I'm like, oh man, this guy is gonna lose his marbles at some point.
Yeah.
He's a ticking time bomb ready to go off. It's so badass when he does.
Yeah, it's true. It's it's funny because did you actually hear what happened to Wyatt Russell?
No.
He actually had to get off social media. He's getting death threats from people about him being Captain America. Yeah, he actually got off all social media because he's getting death threats, and he's at first he said I think he said something like, oh, it's fun to be Marvel's punching bag for a little bit. I don't think he really realizes that this is probably.
Well, I did see an interview with him when they were talking about how because his dad was obviously in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, right?
Yeah,
and he was saying how he had basically no familiarity with anything Marvel at all, even despite his dad being in a movie, he's I don't know anything about Marvel. He's
when his dad played this super important character, so I guess
no, but I mean the fact is maybe if your dad was in a movie you'd be oh, I'll check him out, but he's I have no familiarity with the movie, so he's going into it I had to research the role a lot and I had no idea what I was getting into, sort of thing. So I saw that, but I mean, people giving death threats to anybody over
stupid
media is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I agree. So
the celebrity culture of people freaking out over celebrities, I just don't understand it.
I know, me neither.
They're normal people that have more money than I do, but that's it. I'll never be the type of person that's rushing to get some guy's autograph. I don't care. It's just a guy or a girl or whoever you're fascinated with. They're just people, man. Chill out.
It's if it wasn't on this album, then I might not even recognize who it was. That's how irrelevant it is, right? It's
totally. Would I like to have sit down and actually have a conversation with some celebrities and actually get to know somebody? Sure, that'd be interesting as hell. But is this thing over freaking out over people or oh, you played a villain and I hate you and I hope you die? I'm
I
Crazy.
can't respect that. I don't understand that. Like,
Me neither.
that kind of fandom is not cool.
I know it is. It's nuts, man. People are crazy. But yeah, like in my opinion, that kind of says that he's doing a good job.
Oh, he's doing his role perfectly then.
You know what I mean? Because like he does.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the post I posted. I think it was earlier this week where they showed off that Marvel Legends figure, the new one of him, and like it looks like him, right? And on my story, I kind of like get posted like. I even want to punch this figure in the face because like I just see him and I'm like, God, this guy's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Like
He
I
has a
hate this guy.
face.
Yeah.
I need you
But
to change your face.
he doesn't deserve death threats over it though.
No, of course not. He's an actor doing his job.
Yeah.
I actually like love his role despite like hating his role. You know what I mean?
Too.
Like
Me too.
it's a villain you love to hate.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on the same page as you are.
Yeah, like he's clearly a ticking time bomb, and in the next few episodes, he's gonna go off and murder somebody, and it's gonna be like, a big problem because he's gonna like tell his buddy there to like keep it quiet, and you know it's gonna be like a government issue, but I like where they're going with it. I think it's very interesting. He had a very small role in this episode, but like it was definitely like alluding to what's coming.
Yep, I agree.
The Zemo edition, like we kind of talked about last week, how we hope he's like the third wheel of this like buddy cop duo, and that's exactly what we got, and it was
totally
perfect.
So fun.
Yeah. I love Zemo. I want him in every episode from now on. Like it was so good.
He's this series Jimmy Woo.
Totally. I would take a standalone Jimmy Woo series, and I would take a standalone Zemo series. Like,
and then they could cross over.
Sure, Zemo
and Woo. It's called Zemo Woo.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
it's
Zemo.
one division, but Zemo Woo. They're now a couple that are in the television station.
Someone's got to mock up a picture of that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
How funny was
I
that?
love Zemo. He's so good, man. Like,
man, when he put on that mask, I was like,
yeah.
fuck yes, that's
so good. And just like his little chirps that he would get in at Falcon and Winter Soldier and stuff, like I was like, oh my god, this is great. And then when they break into Madripoor and he has to take up like the Winter Soldier mantle again.
That was sick, man.
That fight scene in that bar, I was like, oh my god, like this is awesome.
Yep, it's good, man. It's cool to see Bucky, even though it's not like good history for him. It was cool to see him like unhinged like that, right?
Oh my god,
he just went like
so
off
good.
the wall, right? I want to point this out because Stranded just said, I love how they blur and shake the camera when they do John Walker close-ups. I didn't actually even notice that, but that's really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see that he's doing that. Do you think he's going after that serum? Because I sure fucking do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's unclear whether he's had the serum. I assume he has.
I don't think he has. Because we haven't really seen him showcase any of that. Like,
that's what I mean, is they're keeping it very close to the chest if he has. And
the
like,
only
that's
thing that
my
was
assumption.
questionable was when he was kicked off the top of the trailer and he landed on the car and he got up. That I was kind of like, nah. I mean, even if your armor is like really, your suit's like really well done, I feel like that would be a pretty tough. Like, that
is where I see this going, is him getting out of control and wanting the serum, and almost like in the Hulk movie when what's his name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Abomination,
when he takes all the serum, he's like, give me it all, and he like just goes nuts with it.
Yeah.
I could kind of see him doing that kind of style of thing. He becomes like super, Captain America, and he's just like roided right out. I think that'd be awesome. But yeah, like that fight scene in that bar, I was like, this is the Marvel level I want all the time. And I know we can't stay at that hype level, but like, this is exactly what I want. And it was badass. The fight scene was dope. I mean, we got Winter Soldier breaking arms off and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. It was awesome. The whole episode was great. Sharon Carter was fucking awesome.
Sharon Carter.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is she like stunningly beautiful, but like this is a badass action scene of that part. Like, I was like, we get in a Widow movie, I want a Sharon Carter movie.
That'd be sweet. I like that she actually has cool characteristics. She's not just a background character who got a line this time. It's kind of nice to have that, right?
They made her kind of a dick.
Yeah.
She got screwed over in Civil War, and she's pissed off about it. She's I got stranded out here and nobody gave a shit about me, and I helped you guys out and you guys abandoned me. I'm pissed off about it, and I haven't spoken to my family in 6 years or whatever because of it.
Yeah. I wonder if she was blipped out.
Well, it didn't really necessarily say either way, but
no, I know. I just was curious more than
yeah. I mean, I would say she wasn't, just because it seems like she built a rapport within that city, and she's selling art and stuff in the black market or whatever, and it's clearly she's built this reputation within this city or whatever. But I do want to say before I forgot, I really think they're building towards Weapon X because the way they talked about so after that, during that fight scene with Sharon Carter, they're breaking into that lab in that shipping container.
Yep.
And they're talking to the scientist that's basically made the new Winter Soldier or new Super Soldier Serum.
Dr. Noble.
And he goes he was working for the government before the blip, and then after the blip, they basically weren't interested anymore. To me, and I'm just this is just me spitballing. During the blip, I think they got somebody to start the Weapon X program and saying hey, we started this down this path of a super soldier. We want you to take it the next step into building a secret facility and figuring this out, kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be cool.
And then when he came back from the blip, they were oh, we don't need you anymore. We've got this under control. So I really think, especially, and I was reading this online, I guess Wolverine and Madripoor have a whole thing.
Madripoor is generally related to X-Men in the comics, generally speaking. Yeah.
So clearly they're putting our knowledge of the city in for a reason, because they are building towards a future X-Men thing.
Yeah.
So to me, it only makes sense that the Weapon X program is going to come up at some point as a name drop. And we're not going to see Wolverine. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we're going to see Wolverine in episode 6 and go, whoa. But I think they're name dropping these places and these things slowly throughout the series, drip feeding us. And I think at some point you're going to hear oh yeah, the government moved on from the Super Soldier Serum to a Weapon X program or something like that, and they're going to leave it at that. And it's just going to be a breadcrumb to a future thing.
Something else down the line. Doesn't necessarily have to be brought up here, right? It can be picked up anywhere down the line. Yeah.
And I'm stoked about that. The fact that that could be a realization at some point, I'm oh man, that gets me so excited.
Yeah, I keep waiting for something to happen where they kind of bring up mutants or something, right? I feel
it's gonna happen at some point. They're gonna say mutants.
Yeah, I know it's going to. Yeah,
and I can't wait to
I like how they had to go into character into that city in Madripoor there, where they go into the bar and he's got the alias and the suit and
what was it, Smiling Tiger or something like that?
Yeah, Smiling Tiger. Yeah, that's in the comics. That's a New Warriors bad guy. That's a villain from the characters. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite part of that whole thing was when they're running away afterwards, and he's I can't run in these heels.
Yeah, that is funny.
It's great.
You see Strand's comment there. He said Weapon X was always a part of recreating the serum. Would be a great way to introduce it. Great theory.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That would be dope. And like you said, we don't. It's not even we need to see Wolverine or anybody. They just to know that that's out there.
But especially if the U.S. government was behind the Super Soldier Serum and all that, and they were maybe a rogue scientist or whatever within the government was like, the government doesn't want to produce this serum anymore. I'm going to move up to Canada and start working on this.
Yeah.
And like, that's how they create it. And like, all of a sudden, like, yeah, there's a secret facility up in the north of Canada with the Weapon X program is starting. And like, I would love if we got like the building blocks, even like of like a young Wolverine that just,
That'd be sick.
It starts there. Of like,
the thing is you can't really do a young Wolverine because you would never be able to keep that character young over, like, he ages slower too, right? But like, you mean younger in age or younger, like a younger looking?
Well,
because if
like,
he was younger looking, you'd have to think it's going to take him, 50 years to age 20 years, right? Like
Right. I'm not saying like necessarily that aspect of it. I'm saying like we get a Wolverine at the beginning of Weapon X. Like
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So like, inexperienced, like
right. Like we get the very beginnings of Wolverine instead of like we get Wolverine 10 years after he's gotten adamantium put in his body. Like I want to see like the building blocks of like where they like them finding Wolverine, like them searching for the perfect candidate for this program, and then them finding Wolverine, almost like they did with Captain America. Like we need the right candidate for this program, and then them searching out for who that could be and seeing, Logan as like, oh man, this dude is perfect for the role, and like that going through that and what that all means, and like him breaking out of the facility in Canada and all that stuff. Like I think that would be an awesome building block of the movie.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to be anytime soon, but a couple years from now, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, because I'm hearing the rumors that are kind of circling out there right now around the mutants is that it's going to focus on the original 5, which to me makes me so fucking happy. If it's going to be Iceman and Beast and Angel and Cyclops and Jean Grey, like if that's the way we're starting, that would seriously make me so happy. Like they
need to do something different, right? Like
I agree.
They can't do what Fox did, so they need to start.
They need to differentiate in a big way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So where do you start in where and how do you do it that would make it different and original and interesting? And I think that's the perfect spot. Is like
me too.
I hate Kelsey Grammer's Beast, so like I'm stoked to see a different take on Beast. Angel was never done right.
But did you like Nicholas Hoult though? Because I didn't mind Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult was way better than Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, he was. I agree.
I mean, I don't think they're going to keep the act. Like, I don't think they'll keep Nicholas Hoult as.
I don't either. I don't either. No, I think they'll go. I think they'll go young for all of them, so that way they can go into the roles.
Same. I think they're going to want to cast like young 20, 25-year-old people for these roles, so that they can, set them for the next 10 to 15 years of these characters. Like anybody that signs on for the next X-Men movie, it's going to be, like a 5-6 movie deal. So
yes, I agree.
I mean, they're looking at the rest of, the next 10, 15 years of their careers.
Yeah, they're pretty committed at this point. Yeah. Once you sign in for something like this, you're kind of.
But that's what we need, right? Like, that's the biggest problem with DC is, like, I was reading an article today about how DC has basically said more or less that they're rebooting the entire DCEU again.
Good.
Because they're not happy with where it is. They're not happy with how it's gone. They're not committing to Zack Snyder's vision of where they were building towards. So now they're looking at like, okay, we're going to keep Aquaman and Wonder Woman going, and they are going to do a Flash movie apparently, but like, we're obviously redoing Batman, but like in Flashpoint, Ben Affleck's Batman's going to be there, so on and so forth. Like they don't really know what they're doing, and none of these actors are signed on long term. So it's like they don't. How do you build a movie if, like, say Ben Affleck just goes, oh, well, I'm done after this. And then you're like, okay, well, we have to recast Batman for the 3rd time in 10 years. It's
the thing is look at Affleck as Batman. Don't get me wrong. I liked him as, I thought he looked cool. I didn't really like him as Batman. I think he makes a
great Bruce Wayne.
I thought he just looked imposing. I thought his suit, but the mix between his suit and how, like, his stature and his chin, like he's got that chin.
Yeah.
And it just, I thought it looked good.
I'm not going to say he's not Batman, but I'm going to say he makes a way better Bruce Wayne to me than he does Batman. Like, I think he's my least favorite Batman overall. He does make an imposing Batman, but I don't know. I don't see it. Like, I don't know. It doesn't work for me. And like, I like.
I'm not really a Batman fan. It's just like, and again, like I couldn't ever even rank them because I just couldn't. Sure. I don't think, right?
I mean,
but like I like Christopher Nolan's Batmans. I like that character, but of all the suits, I think those are the ones I like the least.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, like
because they look
Christian
like
Bale played it as a realistic character, right? Where like. If you go back to George Clooney's Batman, it's a cartoony, comic booky child's movie. Like,
right,
it does. Yeah.
Hey,
it's hard to compare these two things because like they're so drastically different. But
especially when you look at them side by side, like stylistically, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, like Tim Burton's Batman was a very gothic take on it, and Christopher Nolan's was very realistic. So it's like. They're different takes and they're different tones and it's very hard to compare and contrast. But I love Christian Bale's Batman. I think his voice is kind of meh when he's Batman. But like I like the idea of like him having to change his voice to differentiate himself from Bruce Wayne. And like obviously the Zack Snyder version of Ben Affleck's Batman kind of took that to a different level with like the voice changing kind of built into his suit. But yeah, I like I said, I like Ben Affleck as an actor. I think he's a great actor. I think he's an awesome director. I would have loved to see his version of like his director version of Batman, like him directing himself in that role. Like The Town is, I think, one of my favorite movies in the last 15 years.
I don't know if I've seen it.
Oh, you gotta watch that movie. It's awesome. But Ben Affleck being in that movie is like. It's great, but he directed it, and it's incredible. But like, I want Ben Affleck to direct more movies as much as humanly possible because I think he's a fantastic director. But they're not going that road. Like all these people saying like, give us Zack Snyder's version of the DC universe is just like, stop. Like they need a hard reset. And as much as I love Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, 1984 was terrible, but like she's a great Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I think they just need to stop and they need to hard reset and completely start over.
I agree. Yeah. I need to specify that I'm in no way saying I actually like Batman versus Superman, like Ben Affleck Batman. I just think he looks the coolest. But in terms of characters, I actually think he's probably one of the worst. So
yeah. I mean,
but
his suit's
we don't
cool.
we don't need to spend any more time. I just needed to defend myself in that because I didn't want it to come off like I was like approving.
But that's Zack Snyder's strong suit, right? Like Zack Snyder is great at making things look good,
look cool. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I don't know if there's any truth to this or not, but I read a thing earlier today. I can't remember where it was, comicbookmovie.com, and they basically said that. Of all of the people who tuned into the 4-hour movie, only 36% of them went all the way through in one shot, which I thought was interesting.
Look, like, I mean, when I was 20, would I have sat down and watched a 4-hour movie? Probably. At 35, I don't have the time to sit for 4 hours straight generally to watch a film. Like, I'm tired as fuck all the time from working.
Especially when you work midnights,
Yeah, like I have usually a few hours in the morning and a few hours at night really to watch anything. And to sit for 4 hours straight is just probably never gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it in three sittings and like
did you?
Yeah, like 2 hours to 2.5 hours is the perfect length for me. Like I can handle that. When I made this podcast, like I thought, in my opinion, an hour-long episode is perfect.
Yeah.
I think if you have a long commute to work, an hour works. People that have like hour lunch breaks at work or whatever can sit for an hour and listen to a podcast or listen to something or watch YouTube and it works perfect.
Yep.
I think when you go longer than an hour for a podcast, you're asking a lot of people. That's a lot of time to commit to something. So
at least with podcasts, though, I can jump back to it later and stuff. It'd be different if it was a movie because, like, I'm not driving and watching a movie.
Right, and that's what I mean. Is like a movie. Obviously, you have to be okay. You're at home probably, unless you can watch Netflix on your phone or whatever. But do you really want to watch a big action film on a 3.5-inch screen? Probably not.
No.
So yeah, you're probably at home. You probably got a date night in or whatever. You're sitting with your family and you're flicking on Netflix and watching something. Do you really want to sit there for 4 hours?
No.
And watching a film? Like, I don't know about you, but like any of my friends' wives, it's hard to get them to sit for 4 hours for a movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, that's a huge commitment. And so I just think for the average relationship or family or human or single person, 4 hours is a large commitment. And like, who's going to be able to sit that and watch that in one sitting? It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you there. I know. I mean, I won't give any time to it, but I don't see a casual moviegoer. Like, I feel like that movie is made for the super fans who demanded it and nobody else. Like, I feel like that's literally where it ends.
But that's my confusion with it too. Is like, if this was his original vision of the movie, how is this going to be released in theaters? Like,
it's not.
There was no way. What's that?
It wasn't like.
Well, this wasn't the version they released in theaters, but in an alternate universe, if Zack Snyder was the director of the original Justice League for the entire time, how was he going to release this in theaters? Like, if this is
different though, you can't
of a movie.
Yeah, you have to remember though, right? Like, this comes in after years of listening to people talk about what it could have been, and you know what I mean? Like, this is his vision now. This isn't the vision then, right? Like,
but my point is like, there was no version of this movie that would have been good at any hour length.
I don't disagree with you. You're preaching to the choir there, but
like, he was.
But this movie isn't the same, even as the full Zack Snyder version. This movie isn't the same now as it would have been if he had his way at the beginning. There would have been different because he has all those years of like perspective of what people have said about it, right?
Well, that and like I think any artist, like whether you're a musician or a director or anything, like when is art done? Like, people look at like music and they go like, okay, yeah, I would keep producing that song forever if I had the opportunity, because there's always something I'm going to find my ear doesn't like in that song. I could play that bass part better. I could have vocally sung that better, so on and so forth, right? And I think movie direction is the same thing. Is like, oh, I would have took that scene again, or I would have changed this, or I would have changed that. I wish I would have had a bigger budget, whatever the case may be. Or a piece of, even a drawing or a piece of art, like, does that piece of art need another month of ink on it or whatever? Like, you could pick any piece of art apart and say, like, yeah, I would have put another 20 hours into that, or 6 months into that, or 10 years into that. And when is art done? But I look at his film and I go, well, no matter what you would have done to this film that you were making, if you would have put a 2-hour movie in theaters, it still wouldn't have worked. And if you would have put this 4-hour version in theaters, it still wouldn't have worked.
Right.
So you were set up to fail regardless. Right, there was no version of this movie that was going to come out and be widely accepted as a good movie and be widely accepted as, let's continue this going. There's always going to be a small group of people that go, yes, let's carry this on. This was amazing.
Well, that's what's happening now, right? If you see what's happening now, it's like, oh my God, when does this end?
But like, at some point, they got to realize, like, okay, yes, the 20,000 people on Twitter saying that the Snyderverse needs to continue, that's great and that's wonderful. Those are the hardcore fans of those movies. But those 20,000
comic,
right? Those 20,000 people aren't going to make a movie profitable.
No, it's true.
And if you're spending $200 million on the next Justice League movie, sorry, 20,000 people are going to need to see that movie 15 times to make it worth it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't see where they're going with it. And I mean, I've gone off on a tangent, but like, I just think at some point you got to call a spade, and those movies are bad.
I totally agree with you.
And that's why you need to have long-term contracts with these actors, is so that you can build a universe and
not have to worry about them bouncing on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you would have signed Ben Affleck to a 6-movie deal, you wouldn't be in the predicament you are now.
But kind of where I was going when I originally brought up Affleck was like, imagine they kept going with that universe.
Yeah.
So in another 3 years, we get another Snyder movie.
Sure.
Man, Ben Affleck's like fucking 60. like.
No, I agree with you. And like, I mean, despite all his like problems outside of his acting career, like, I don't think that he at any point would have signed on for this franchise if he would have known that at 60 years old he was going to still have to play Batman.
Yeah, I know.
I think the only way to
60, but he's definitely getting close, right? Like,
I think he's like probably 50 or 50s. Yeah, I would say he's in his early 50s. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't check it on Twitter.
Ben Affleck? Let's see what my watch says.
Ben Affleck is 48 years old.
48 years old. So there you go.
So let's say he made Justice League at 45. I don't know. I don't know time anymore. Say he even made it at 45. If you're signing a 5-picture deal, at least looking at 10 years, probably more.
Easily. 5 pictures, easily.
So he's 55 to 60 by the time that 5th movie comes out. He's not going to want to spend the next 15 years of his career doing that movie. He never have signed that deal.
It'll be like Jennifer Lawrence when she didn't want to do Mystique anymore. She's like, I don't want to be Blue anymore. Just make me Jennifer Lawrence. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
But can you blame her? Like,
no, but then why do you sign up for a player? We don't need to talk about this.
I totally agree with you, but like at some point I agree with you. Like, I don't want to sit in a chair for 6 hours before I go on set and get painted.
Yeah. Well, the way I kind of look at it, it's like being like, okay, I was cast to play King Kong, but I don't really want to I don't want to look like a monkey. Like, I look better like this. So, like.
Dude, I get what you're saying, but, like, in that situation, they have, like, you know, you can be in those ball costumes where they can track you and everything through CGI.
I know.
Like, you're not sitting through 12 hours of makeup.
I get that, but if like it would be different if it was Rebecca Romaine saying it, going in and not knowing what she was getting into. Sure. But it's not like Jennifer Lawrence didn't know what came with that role. Like,
I totally agree with you, but like
I don't sympathize. Like, hey, I'm going to sign on for this thing, a multi-picture thing, and the previous person that played it spent 15 hours in a makeup chair.
I totally agree with what you're saying, but like I also look at it as like I look at it like a football player, right? Like a football player comes into the NFL, you've trained your entire life to get into the NFL.
Yeah.
And you sit down for the you get into the NFL and you sign your first contract for let's say 4 years and $80 million. And you take a beating during those 4 years, and you know you've gotten injuries, you've got bruises, you've got pain, you've gone through rehab for injuries, so on and so forth. After those four years of that contract, in my opinion, I would bounce.
Yeah,
I made $80 million for those 4 years. I'm retiring. I'm 26 years old, and I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. And like I totally get from an actor standpoint is like, listen, I signed this contract and like. At the time, this made sense for my life.
Yeah.
I'm 4, 5, 10 years older now, and I have a family at home. I don't want to spend my life sitting in a chair getting painted blue when I have a daughter or son at home that I could be spending 6 hours more a day with.
No, I get that, but then leave. Like,
no, and that's what I'm saying is like, I can see the standpoint of being like, I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I wouldn't have lost respect for her because that was the thing that really, I mean, I was never a huge fan of her anyways, but then when I heard all about that, I was like, that pissed me off. I'm like, look, if you don't want to be painted blue anymore, then you just fucking bounce. Like, I mean, I know there's contract things, and I'm sure that certain things that would prevent that, but I'm sure they could have made it work for her. She's a big enough star that if she wanted to be written out, she could have been. But like, why keep coming back?
I'd say because she wants that next contract with her next movie career, whatever the next movie thing is. She doesn't want to jeopardize that with.
Then you got to weigh the options.
Sure, and I'm on your side. Like, there's nothing on this earth where you could pay me $100 million for it, and I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. Name it, really? I will do it. I will kill a man for $100 million. Like,
it's out there, everybody.
I don't care. there's literally nothing you could get me not to do for $100 million.
That's funny.
Like,
what's up, BC Sasquatch? I drove
it's
by your
$100
house
million.
tonight.
It's $100 million.
I know.
If it was 10 grand, then sure. $100 million, you know.
It's hard because, like, to me, somebody who has an issue with not being able to move, like, I'd have a pretty hard time sitting in a makeup chair for 15 hours or 12 hours. I wouldn't be able to do that. So I would never take the job.
Right. But, like, you're also somebody that sat for hours at a time getting tattooed.
That's true, but I said I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to do that. I could get tattooed, but I wouldn't be able to.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, maybe you think at the time, you go, yeah, I can do that. You sign the contract. And then 5 years down the line, you go, I can't do this. You know?
Yeah, but, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we spend more time than I would like to on girl, whatever her name is. Jessica Roberts.
On
What's her
girl.
name? Jennifer Lawrence, that's it. Jessica Roberts? Who the fuck is that?
You have the memory of a carrot, man.
That's good.
It's Rob Schneider as a carrot.
Oh, I'm a carrot.
Jesus Christ.
That's so funny. So we should talk more about, because we kind of spun off of Bucky Bird a little bit.
Yeah.
Anything else we wanted to speak about on that? Where are we at?
Yeah, I want to talk about the ending.
Yeah, we didn't even bring that up. We kind of fucking bailed at like the 15-minute mark.
Well, we got like halfway through it.
And then it became a hate fest on the Snyder Cut and Jessica Roberts.
If you want a professional podcast, go find fucking Joe Rogan's podcast. I'm not
don't
that
do that.
guy.
He was saying some crazy shit the other day or something, wasn't he?
Oh, I don't know. He's always saying crazy shit.
That's a good point.
He's a millionaire. He doesn't care what he has to say on a podcast. He's doing it to get
reviews. Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, so
but that ends.
Yeah.
We get what's her face from Wakanda.
Yeah, Ayo.
And you know, she drops in obviously because they freed Zemo and he killed the king of Wakanda, so you know,
she's out.
She's going to be a little bit upset that he's released. Also, they did a lot of favors for the Winter Soldier and got him unbrainwashed. So I feel like they're probably feeling a little bit betrayed. I like where this is going. I did not expect Wakanda to have anything to do with this, mostly just because of Chadwick Boseman dying and stuff. I did not think they were going to be ready to bring in Wakanda and the whole Black Panther vibe into the show until they had a set idea of what they were doing with that franchise. So the fact that we get Wakanda coming in, I think is only going to make the next episode even better.
Me too. It's funny though, as soon as I saw the little bead, I was like, is that one of those Wakandan beads?
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
And then he gets out the other one, and I'm like, those are fucking Wakandan beads. I thought it was going to be a Koye, though. The main but...
Yeah. I didn't know where they were going to head exactly with it, but like the fact that they're definitely going to play a role in these next few episodes is awesome. Like, I'm hoping that they set up Black Panther 2 somehow through this.
That'd be sweet. Honestly, but like this goes right back to what I've been saying since we were talking about WandaVision is like, because we're getting so many more new IPs with the MCU, like new superheroes and stuff like that, like I feel like it's going to be all the more normal. You're just suddenly watching this and all of a sudden this movie walks in and now it's a part of it. And it's like, it's starting to feel a lot like the comic books. And it's like, those are the kind of things about the comic books when I was a kid that I loved. That's what got me into new heroes, right? When Spider-Man would all of a sudden team up with Deathlock or with somebody crazy who like, I had no idea who the fuck they were. And it's just like, I get to learn about those characters because they're with my favorite characters, right?
Sure. It's the side stories of the main story, you know?
Yeah.
And
it's awesome.
It gets you involved in those characters' arcs, and maybe you're not a huge whatever, Black Panther fan or aren't familiar with those characters, and it makes you seek out that information and get more familiar with those characters. And especially if you like what they did in the next episode, let's say, like, you know, Wakanda plays a huge role in that, you're gonna be that much more interested in going, oh yeah, I haven't watched that Black Panther movie in a while, I'm gonna go check that out again, or I'm gonna read the comics more and get more involved in that and those characters.
Learn the character. Yeah,
and I think that's awesome for the universe. Like, I can't wait to see what they build towards by the end of the series. And I mean, it leads into Loki, but you know, them having maybe 3 different sides of this coin, basically, of like, hey, we did the WandaVision arc, and now we're doing the Falcon and Winter Soldier arc, and then the Loki arc, and that's going to cover all 3 different sides, and we're going to get side characters involved in all 3 of those universes, and that's all going to build towards the next phase or the next thing. It's awesome.
All those breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Just throwing them out.
Exactly. It's opening a bag of Skittles and letting it spread throughout the room, you know?
Taste the rainbow, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. And, wow. I like that. That's the new motto for this podcast. Taste the rainbow,
Taste
bitch.
the rainbow, bitch.
Who smell podcast?
Bitch. That's funny.
I loved it.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was a really fucking good episode. It was funny because, like, Kate's more into, like, the story side. She does not give a shit about action at all. And I remember at one point when Sharon Carter started beating the shit out of all the bounty hunters in the little thing with all the carts and things or whatever. I'm like, hon, you're missing Sharon Carter whoop some fucking ass. And she's like, this episode's boring. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like,
oh my God. Polar opposites.
But it's funny because, like, she's the kind of person who will, like, watch Vikings. You ever watch Vikings? She's, like, obsessed with it. She loves it. But she'll fast forward all the fights, all of them. Like, she doesn't care about the fight. She cares about, like, this is, like, you know, warrior stuff, right? She cares about, like, the like, you know,
the drama.
The drama, but, like, she also cares about, like, all of, like, the plotting and, like, plotting against the enemies, like old school ways where you'd have to, like, sneak up on them and, like, come, you know what I mean? So it's like,
but she
then,
loves,
as
like,
soon as everyone starts slaughtering each other, she's like,
but she loves, like, English history and stuff like that. Like,
she does.
Yeah, that's her thing. Like, for me, like, I've always been about, like, the more violent, the better. I love over the top violence.
You need to watch Invincible.
I was going to allude to this because I know you've watched it, and I'm sure people want to maybe hear our opinions on it. I haven't watched it, but Matt, speak about it.
Invincible is fucking amazing. If you haven't watched it, so Ryan really doesn't like cartoony stuff, so
I hate it.
It's really hard for him to get into it. And I have to say that, like, even though I don't mind cartoon stuff, I don't love it generally speaking, but, like, usually if it's intriguing enough to me, I can get into it. But, like, with this one, it's like, I think if they would have put off the kind of spoiler, I'm not going to spoil it because I don't want to ruin it, but, like, in the first episode, about, maybe not halfway, they're about 45-minute episodes, so I think about the 32 or 33 minute mark maybe, or something like that, it kind of ends and the credits start coming on, and then afterwards this thing happens where, like, apparently in the comic books they let it go for, like, 7 or 8 issues or something like that, but this one it kind of happens right away, and, like, I'm so glad it did, because, like, at first thing I was just like, oh, it's cool, but, like, it's just kind of like, it's not like anything I haven't seen before, right? It's kind of like you've got the Guardians of the Globe, and it's basically like the Justice League. There's a fish man, there's a super strong guy, there's a speedster, there's, you know what I mean? Sure. They got everyone accounted for, right? And then once you get to the end, it's like everything changes, and it's just like graphic violence, you know, people, like, being, like, slammed on the ground and, like, teeth and shit are flying. Like, it's just fucking insane, right? And it's just, after that I'm like, holy fuck. And then they kind of set up the dynamic for, like, kind of, it doesn't really say what's, like, where it's going, but it kind of nods you in the direction of what ultimately is going to happen between, like, you know, this one, it focuses around a kid who basically gets his superpowers. His dad's a super being from another planet, and, like, he keeps saying, like, one day you're just going to get your powers, and that's just kind of how it is, right? and it kind of starts where like at a point where he's 18 or something, and he's pissed that he hasn't got his powers yet, and then all of a sudden he gets them when he's working one day. He throws a garbage bag to China or something like, and then yeah, it's just like it kind of takes off from there, right? And it's like the dad's trying to teach the son like how to be a superhero, and he kind of like has some tough love times with him, and he like beats him up a little bit, right? To kind of be like, man, you have to be willing to like kind of take a beating, that's kind of part of the job, right? But like that twist in that first episode is just it's amazing. Like it sold me on it, and now it's just like I want to see where they go from there. So it's really good.
My question is though, wouldn't this all be better live action?
They're doing a live action one too, apparently. Apparently Seth Rogen and what's his writing partner there?
Evan Goldberg.
Yeah, so apparently they're working on it, and not connected apparently, but
yeah, like that's always my like thing with animated stuff is like, okay, that was really cool. I would love to see it live action.
Well, I don't know if they'll be able to pull off. I mean, they may be able to, but like I don't know if they'll be able to pull off what we see in this in live action, because it's pretty gruesome. But like, I mean, I don't know, maybe, but it's pretty.
I think you can get away with pretty much anything if you rated R.
Oh, I didn't necessarily mean it in terms of like what you're seeing, more just in like how I don't know how you would execute some of this stuff, especially because some of the characters are like they'd have to pretty much be full CGI too. I don't know. I mean, you probably could. I don't know, but yeah,
look,
I don't know
anything about anything. I'm a dumb fat idiot on the internet, but
you should check it out. You should just watch the first episode. If you don't feel it by the first episode, at least you get to see a good gory scene.
This is a moose milk guarantee. By the next episode, I will have watched the first episode of Invincible, and if I enjoyed it, I will catch up and I will watch all 4 or 5 episodes, whatever the hell's out.
Because they do it on Fridays too, so that could be the second round for a little bit. We could talk about that if you get into it. But like I said, at least watch the first one, because like, you can at least see a pretty good ass whooping.
I will find an hour in the next 7 days to watch at least one episode. I guarantee it. That's a Moose Milk promise. One thing I want to say too before we run out of time is if anybody has not watched Always Sunny in Philadelphia, it is now on Disney Plus.
Yes, I saw that. I'm gonna actually start when I start customizing again. I'm gonna be watching it.
So the first 8 seasons are on Disney Plus.
How many is there? There's a lot though, right? Like 15.
There's 15 seasons, I think. Most of the seasons are 10 episodes. The early seasons are like, I think 14 or 16, but it mostly gets into a rhythm after, I think, season 5 or 6, that it's mostly 10 episode seasons. So it's not like overly long. The episodes are 20 minutes long. So it's not a huge time commitment. It's the best sitcom ever made. Probably, up there with Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld and The Office. So like, if you're a fan of any of those and you have not watched Always Sunny in Philadelphia, 1000%. If you've been watching Falcon, you have a subscription, go on Disney Plus and watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, because it's very, very, very well done. It may only apply to Canadian people. I think it's on a streaming service in the US. I'm not positive on that, but
I'm happy we finally got it though.
Yeah, I mean, past season 8 is awesome. Like, I hope that they keep putting on the newer seasons as time goes on, but it's definitely one of the best sitcoms ever made, and I can't recommend it enough. So
yeah, all the stuff I've seen from it have been curated. So like, you put together a little playlist for me one day when I came to visit you, and then we did that, and then, so like that, and then I started watching a bunch of it with my father-in-law like a few weeks ago. We just put it on in the afternoon. We were just chilling. We watched about like 8 episodes or something, but.
Yeah, it's. I think the first season is probably the weakest season, although there is like some very funny moments.
Yeah.
But season 2, like, they introduced Danny DeVito's character, and that's where like the show really starts picking up. So, stick through the first season. I think it's only 6 episodes the first season, but it's a standout sitcom. I can't recommend it enough, and the fact that it's on Disney Plus is incredible to me, because it's the most adult fucked up sitcom
Well, it's on
ever.
Star.
Yeah, well, it's on Star, but I mean, the fact that Disney allowed it to be on their service says
Sure.
a lot. It's phenomenal, and I highly recommend it. You're gonna piss your pants laughing.
Yeah, that's great. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I have to wait until I start customizing. I tried to watch something the other night while I was working on shelves. It's like, what am I even doing? I'm literally in the shelf. Like I can't watch anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
podcasts.
lot of sight gags and stuff like that where you definitely have to kind of pay attention to it. So, it's kind of similar to The Office in a way where like there's a lot of stuff going on in the episode where you can hear funny lines here and there, but like you got to kind of pay attention to it. But
yeah, you got to catch those parts, right? Because they come back later, and
it's definitely reminds me of like me and my friends hanging out if we owned a bar. The shenanigans we would get into, and I mean it's a lot more like obviously perverse and like fucked up than like anything a normal person would do. But like it's those kind of conversations you have in your group of friends that like the show just absolutely epitomizes as like it's just so well done. So if you're a fan of good comedy, 1,000% you need to get on the show.
There you have it. I'm going to be doing that myself. So there you go. Hey, do you think when what's his name, the new Captain America finally takes the serum, which there's no way he's not going to. He's definitely going to.
Yeah.
Do you think his partner there will join him? Because I kind of got a little bit of a vibe when they were talking in the hall about going like kind of off book, that he wasn't really feeling that. Did you get that vibe too, or no?
I did, but I think there could be a divide there too. Like, it's hard to say where they're going to go with it, but I definitely think he's taking the serum. Don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know where the end game of that character is. Like, if by the end of the series he's going to be like dead or in prison, or like what exactly is going to happen. I definitely think
he's going to be U.S. agent.
What's that?
He's going to be U.S. agent. That's what I think. He's going to end up being the character he actually is. Sam's going to end up being Cap. Like
he better be. I don't know how you could possibly end the series and not have Sam as Cap.
They're already sowing those seeds, like a little bit, right? Like
I want to see the next Captain America movie with Sam as Captain America. Like I think that would be awesome.
I'd love to see it him and Bucky though, because I fucking really love that dynamic, man. They're just so fucking great. They're so good. I
agree, and I think like that should be the Cap sidekick relationship is it was, you know, Steve and Steve and Sam, and now I want it to be Sam and Bucky. Like,
does your microphone go weird? I can't tell if it's just on my earphone or.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well,
I'm just using my phone.
Oh, weird.
We only have 2 minutes left, so
I know. I hope that when you listen to it, you can hear Brian the Cyborg Man.
My dog was barking at somebody outside, so.
Woof, 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 woof.
You made him bark.
I hope that I'm not the only one hearing this, because I don't feel silly, but I don't actually care because I'm high. So.
I think it's your earphones.
It could be.
Totally
could be. And then maybe it'll correct itself.
But before we run out of time, I want to thank everybody for watching, and definitely give him a follow on Instagram at CustomQuitMatchu. He always appreciates new followers and see some of his awesome stuff that he's doing over there.
He's lying. He's lying. He appreciates the follows more than me. I don't even notice. They just kind of happen. Somebody once said to me, they're like, "Hey man, did you see I started following you?" I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, there's no way I can keep track of that stuff. It just moves. I lose like 80 a day, and I gain 100. It's just.
Well, if we all could be that popular.
I know, right? I would say I don't even have any idea how it got to this level. Beats me.
Well, because you're extremely good at what you do, and people will appreciate
Not
that.
the same, because even my people who I love, they don't even have nearly as much as me. Not even close. But they're way better.
I appreciate what you do.
Hey, your
I
voice
think
is
you're very good at what you do. And I say everybody should go follow Matt, and if you have the
so bad
opportunity
again.
to follow a second person that day, come follow me over here or on YouTube. And, maybe sign up your grandma. You got a 2-year-old that has a YouTube account. Sign them up too. I mean, you don't have to watch. Just become a follower. I don't care. But